Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Queen's Birthday edition of The Nut House. I am the Mighty T with my co-host, the ever-lovable Mighty Nuts. How are you tonight, mate?
Very good, mate. How are you going?
Yeah, look, I'm not too bad. I'm a little bit fuming about the roadworks and all that because, we live in Melbourne, and how much do we love that?
Mate, it is. I can't remember the last time I didn't see some roadworks. No matter where you drive, you come across it. It's a disgrace.
But isn't it just easy, like coming onto a freeway to let people know before the on-ramp, roadworks going on? Like that makes sense to me. But anyway,
Hey,
I digress. If I were running the country, things would be a lot different. In fact, it'd be a dictatorship. But we're not going to get into that tonight. I want to talk about this past weekend's game. Probably the least convincing 86-point victory I've ever seen.
yeah. It was very lackluster. I keep saying that. Said that about the West Coast game too. But at least we actually decided to put the foot down in the last quarter.
But that was nice.
Yeah, it was. You know what? It was good. It was satisfying. I watched the replay again this morning, actually.
Yep.
The first half, dodgy. The third quarter, dodgy. And then the last quarter, we sort of came to life, which was good. But I'm thinking, is that more because we actually started to get structures right and get on top, or was it because the Saints finally died in the arse a bit and were able to, run around a lot more?
It's a good question. They should have run the game out better than us, I thought. But hey, look, you know what? We called it last week. This was the reality check for them. And hey, that's fine. Good to know that Nathan Buckley listens to the show. We did call the changes.
We did. And Bucks, if you're listening again, mate, I want a contract. Get me on the list.
Yeah.
List. That's it.
Please, mate. Listen, look. But listen. I don't know if you can afford us. But I want a max deal, 5 years, Buddy Franklin style, even. Okay, so.
I'm old enough to go on the veterans list. It's all good. That's half the wage.
I got to say, though, one person who didn't listen in, actually, he might have listened in, and I've been really happy that I actually gave him a few ticks. Jared Blair, mate, lift your game. That was poor. He was again. I feel like I'm picking on him now, but for all the attention that Taylor Adams got on the board, and I don't want to name names.
Go for it.
Look, I'm just going to leave it. I'm just going to leave it at that. We'll get to the naming later on. But for all the attention that this kid got for what was quite poor disposal, he only went at 2% less efficiency than Jared Blair. Had more tackles, had more pressure indicators, and had a bigger impact on the game than this guy. And yet we don't have the same amount of criticism. I made a comment the other day. The price that we paid for Taylor Adams, that being Heath Shaw moving on, has obviously tainted him in the eyes of some of our supporters. And they've got this unfair stigma attached to him. I don't get it.
Yep, exactly right. And the fact of the matter is Blair's a premiership player, so supporters have probably a love of him already. And Adams coming in for, as you just pointed out, for one of the favourite sons, he has to do a lot to prove himself to, sort of get in with the faithful. So it is unrealistic and a bit harsh on the young man. He's 20 years old, for fuck's sake, so he'll get better. I'm not too worried about him. I like the way he goes about things, and at the end of the day, he has to play more. He's going to be Ball's replacement. And like I pointed out last week, I think Bally, he's just about, time's catching up to him real quick. It's just about time for him to hang up the boots, I think.
He's getting there. He's getting to the point where all he's doing is throwing himself at a contest, and I don't know if that's enough. Look, there were things that I liked about the game, and I think you as well. Paul Seedsman, his triumphant return, more football than he was probably expected to play.
Yeah.
But, he looked good, didn't he?
Yeah, he was good. Looked polished, and quite a few times he's run out of the fence, and he's I don't know, I hate using words like line breakers because everyone says that in the media and all that sort of thing.
Or quarterback.
Yeah, but that's exactly what he is. He is with his electrifying pace.
Yeah,
that's another cliche, electrifying. But he's really quick, and the ground that he covers by foot, and then with his delivery, he can kick it. Excuse me, he can kick it a fair way as well. So he's a really damaging player, and I know it's only St Kilda, but I thought it was a great comeback game for him. and he looked really polished. I thought really, really good.
Yeah, he was one of the few that was hitting targets regularly. He went at over 90% efficiency. This is someone that, people had such a go at last year. The one thing that was bad about him was his kicking. Well, it was tightened. It was less pressured. This draw back to Adams for a second. This is what happens when you've got 15, 20, a little bit more experience, with your teammates. These games on the board, it'll come, the composure. But with the guys like Seedsman now, Thomas has a bit of quickness about him. We'll talk about him in a bit more detail in a sec. Lumumba, Clinton Young's not slow. We don't seem like. I always thought of us as a bit of a plodding team a couple of years ago, but we move pretty quickly now, and it's really pleasing.
Yeah, we do have a lot of pace across the ground. We've still got our plodders, as you put it.
Yeah.
But we're definitely, with the injection of youth right across the field, we're looking a lot sharper and quicker, which is a good thing.
I feel when I look at Josh Thomas, he's got all the makings, doesn't he? He's got that heart and that endeavour, that little bit of football smarts about him. I thought he played really well on the weekend.
Yeah, the football smarts took the words right out of my mouth. That's what he's got. You wouldn't sort of look at him and say, okay, he's going to sort of burn you for pace. Like he's all right, but he's not lightning fast. And you just, I don't know. Excuse me again. He's just really, really smart. Puts himself in the right spot. Him and Langdon, they remind me of each other. Whereas Langdon gets racks. He played a magnificent game too.
Oh, stunning.
Racks up heaps of the ball purely by being a footballer. They know where to go. They know where the ball's going to be. They know where to get it.
Yeah, right place, right time.
Guys like that.
Oh, absolutely. And, he the same with young Elliott, who continues to grow, and he's obviously a love child of mine. Just that he has that little bit of extra sense about him, where he'll tap the ball to his advantage, or he'll take that extra sidestep. Fantastic. The big story out of the weekend, well, there's two. We'll get to one of them later on. But the bigger one was the Man Mountain in Cloak.
Yep.
Is it a return to form, or is it a flash?
We'll find out, won't we? I think it's his return to form was good, because he actually was out, sort of leading a lot more, getting out a bit deeper, and he was able to get a couple more one-on-one contests. But I think that's also from the delivery coming into him was much better.
Yep.
So you've seen that he's a massive dude. There ain't a defender who can stand there and monster him. Nobody can. So if we can get it in one-on-one, it's to his advantage 9 times out of 10. So that's the key, not to bomb it. Sit it up on top of his head where 3 defenders can get back and spoil.
Yep.
It was definitely guys like Seedsman, especially. I've noticed a couple of times his delivery of Cloak was beautiful. Got it not only in the one-on-one, but actually put it to, I think it was the right-hand side, the first one that he took sort of diving out.
Yep.
So he put it perfectly to him, to his advantage, where the defender has not got a chance in hell. So that was another reason why I think that he was able to kick 5. So.
And this is one thing that I want people to understand. It's a two-way street with Clokey. If the delivery isn't good, you can't create something out of nothing. And the one thing I liked is he got on his bike, he worked, got a fair bit of the ball, got some marks. But the expectation has to be two-way. If we're expecting him to take these good marks and kick a few goals, the delivery has to be there for him. And it was at times on the weekend, but it's got to get better.
Yeah, much better. I thought Jesse White was pretty good too.
I loved it when he moved into the midfield.
Yep.
Every time, I think every game that he's jumped in, it's almost like he's this giant hulking, paced midfielder that just weaves through and.
Exactly. There's not too many ruckmen that have got his pace. So when we put him in, he's got that leaping ability, and he's pretty good as a second ruckman. So he's got the ruck sort of awareness. And then once the sort of ball hits the ground, and if he's able to get his mitts on it, and he can run away from the other rucks and a lot of the other midfielders too. So, but who's
the number one ruck to go with him? I think we've both decided that I don't think we can carry Witts and Grundy for the year.
No.
And to this point in time, I think Witts has been the better of the two.
Mm-hmm.
So
Without a doubt.
where do we go from here? Like, he had a good game on the weekend.
Yep. Yeah, he was really good. Yeah, it's a tough one. Glad I don't have to pick this.
Yeah.
I really like Grundy,
Yeah.
as a lot of people do. But if we're being honest, Witts has been better as a resting forward, and
Yep.
I think he's also been better in the ruck. Like Grundy, I know he's a young kid, but his sole purpose is ruck hit-outs. And
Yep.
for a person who continually mistimes their jumps, I just look at it and look at the screen and go, "Wow, dude, you for real?"
Yeah.
So, I know that's going to get better, but at this point in time, he's really frustrating me. So if it was up to me, and it's not, but if it was, I'd say Broads, you have a rest for a couple of weeks and give Witts at least two games in the ruck.
Yeah, with Jesse White. Look, I would have completely agreed with that. Had Karnezis not done his hamstring, I just think that I don't want that forward line structure to change. What I would like, switch Witts and Grundy around. Grundy's been the number one ruck, and Witts has been the resting forward and resting ruckman. Switch the roles. Let Witts ruck most of the game. Let's see what Grundy can do in the forward line. Let him come in bursts and see if he's the more athletic of the two. Witts is the more hulking one. So maybe do that little switch, and then when you get to three-quarter time, maybe you sub Witts or Grundy. If you sub Witts, Grundy's fresher. He can attack the ruck contest with a bit more energy at the end of the game. I don't know. The one thing is, when you got two ruckmen like this, you don't want to hamper either of their development.
Exactly right, and that's the hard thing, trying to get enough games into two young ruckmen. So if they keep going the way we're going, and they can get 50, 80 games together at the same time, that's going to be a really good combo. But it's sort of, are they going to stay the course? I don't know. Yeah,
it's going to involve a lot of faith. A lot of faith from the club to do that. I just want to mention one other player just before we get off onto our next topic. Tyson Goltak. He's unhinged. Like there's something. If you watch the game this morning, that third quarter there was a minute and a half where it was in our forward 50. The ball's bounced, tapped down, St Kilda player, bang, gone.
Yep.
Tackle straight away, bounce again. He targeted them. He lined them up.
Yeah, he did. And just sort of off one step too, Yeah. I think Bruce even mentioned it. Bruce McAvaney mentioned that 3 tackles in about 60 odd seconds. And that's good. That's what we want from Goldsack. As all us Collingwood supporters know, he's not going to take 25 grabs and kick 8 goals a game or anything like that. But he does the simple things well, and he helps the team out by his tackling. He's pretty quick as well, and he's a good defender. So, and also can sneak forward and jag one or two. So, you know what? He's, as much as he's not one of our top tier players, he's almost indispensable at this point in time. Been fantastic.
Well, we'll go from the indispensable to the dispensable, in my view.
Yep.
A man that has a 3-week holiday, Steel side bottom. First of all, I know that you got some pretty strong feelings about the bump, as a general rule.
I do. And the thing that really, really, can I say it shits me?
Yeah.
If we can't edit it out quickly, but bad luck, I'm going to say this really, really shits me the way that the MRP puts more focus on the end result than the actual action.
Yeah.
Side bottom deserved to go. Because to the letter of the law, he jumped off the ground, bumped someone in the head. After the Lindsay Thomas incident on Reed last year, those rules had been not changed because those sort of rules have been in for a while, but tweaked, if you like.
Yep.
So now, as soon as you do that, you are gone.
That's it.
The minute you do it, you're back, buggered.
Yep.
But for some reason, certain players are allowed to do that and get away with it. But staying with side bottom for the moment, he done a stupid thing, and yes, Weller was very, very stiff to cop the elbow to the face.
Yeah.
But if you watch that, especially in slow-mo, like normally slow motion makes it look worse because it's in slow-mo, but slow-mo actually helps side bottom in this one.
Yeah.
See, his arm stays in the entire time.
Yep.
Weller gets to the contest a fraction earlier than him, like half a step before he does.
Yep.
And, okay, he shouldn't have jumped up to bump him. If
No.
he just had kept his feet and ran through him, would have been much better, but he jumped up in the air. And when he's gone in the air, as I'm looking at it, it's like he sort of tried to avoid contact, ended up clipping him with his elbow right in the gob, and sort of the rest is history. And you just think if he had have played it and went with the bicep shoulder into Weller, then we've got a different result potentially. And he's not, not a holiday at all. So, like I said, the MRP.
Look,
this medical crap. It's like you've got to punish people for the act, not for the outcome.
Well, exactly right. I mean, it's the thought. It's what happened beforehand. If there isn't, you never really measure intention because obviously Sideburn didn't have intention to cause harm, but the action was reckless. Now, regardless of what happened, it was a reckless act. We're meant to be stamping this out. It's meant to be a concerted effort to you can't bump the head. You know that. Well, that's your punishment. Not, how did Goods get away with it? I don't get it. It doesn't make sense.
Well, I think my opinion on it is going to be an unpopular one. But A, he's an AFL darling. B, he plays for one of the AFL darlings in the Sydney Swans.
Yeah.
C, did you seriously, and anyone listening, be honest with yourself, did you ever think that an Indigenous player would get rubbed out during Indigenous round?
More to the point, Adam Goods, who is now
being Adam Goods as well.
He's the media tycoon of the AFL. The man does more appearances than anyone I've seen. I don't understand why he was promoting at the Dream. I don't understand why he was Australian of the Year. I don't know what he did to deserve the honour. I mean, this is it is a ridiculous idea that you can have two incidents that are so blatantly similar in the action, in terms of what they're looking for, in terms of what they're trying to crack down on, and yet two results could not be further apart. And the only reason they're going to give is what? That insufficient force, or nothing happened. He continued play. Well, so what? We said it before. It's not about the result. It's about the action, isn't it?
Exactly right. And I seriously laughed out loud when I read their report. Now I'm just sort of going off the top of my head here, but didn't they say that he was contesting a mark?
Yep.
And it was sort of in the play. Well, I've watched that a few times too, and at least side bottom when he bumped Weller, the ball was in Weller's hands, and the ball was in the vicinity. Adam Goods jumps after Selwood knocks that ball clear away.
Oh.
Then he jumps into the air. Now, I don't know about you if you've played a whole lot of footy, but I used to play a lot of footy. Now, I've never ever gone into a marking contest without looking at the ball and my arms clipped in. It's like, to mark the ball, you actually have to have your arms outstretched. At no point did Goods do that.
Yep.
He's just very, very lucky that it was Joel Selwood with his buff head.
Yeah.
And he's sort of, made of sterner stuff than a lot of other guys. If it was, someone, let's pick a player, I don't know, Josh Thomas. If he'd done it to him, he would have split him in half.
Well, you saw the Josh Thomas incident. I mean, I remember watching that on the replay, and I thought, not that I ever thought that he had a problem, but gee, you just don't know. And if the guy had stayed down for an extra couple of minutes, Josh Thomas did nothing wrong in that scenario. I personally, I mean, again, I know that you've got your position on this, but I thought that it wasn't a bump, it wasn't intentional, it would have been incidental contact.
Yep.
Now, if the guy had stayed out, concussed, does Thomas deserve a week for that? And would he have gotten one?
He would have.
But you knew it was ridiculous the day that Gary Ablett got off, and then not the fact that I thought he should have been punished, but when you read the report and it said Gary Ablett's elbow had insufficient force. It made contact to the face, but it was insufficient. Now, I'd like someone to explain that to Brent Staker. Had Barry Hall hit him with insufficient force and not broken his jaw, but just knocked him out for the night? I mean, come on. These are technicalities. You have to punish the crime. You have to punish what's been done, the action. And
you do. It's sort of like, you just think to yourself, how would this work in the real world? You go rob a bank, 10 minutes later take the money back and say, hey, it's all right, I brought the money back. I can't go to jail for that.
Exactly right. How ridiculous. We'll switch gears, back to side bottom. He's not playing 3 weeks. This is a good thing in my view, as a general rule.
Yep, same here.
And he's one of the people who, I wouldn't say is on the endangered species list at Collingwood, but when you have guys of the ilk of Freeman and Scharenberg yet to debut.
Yep.
Josh Thomas is playing the way they are. You've got, what's his name? Tim Broomhead, who's sitting waiting in the wings who essentially plays the same role.
Yep.
Sidebottom is expendable and good commodity to trade at the end of the year, and that's how I'd be looking at it.
Expendable, spot on. Is he in the new Expendables movie?
He should be, because
You're right now.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah, but for mine, doesn't do enough.
Nah.
Yes, he provides some glimpses of great work, and yes, he's a very talented footballer, but doesn't work hard enough, drops out of games too often and for too long.
Yep.
And for mine, if you are going to only be producing, sort of 50%, 40% of the time, then you shouldn't. He really needed a rest before he done this. I think I mentioned last week, can't remember if I said he should maybe possibly have a rest for a week or so, because he's just not doing enough. And when we're winning and he can get on the outside,
great.
He looks good, and I'm loath to say it about a Collingwood player, but he's a downhill skier for mine.
Look, 11 first quarter touches, then he had 11 for the rest of the game. I mean, didn't impact the scoreboard. You got Josh Thomas, who finishes at 29 across the game and 3 goals. I mean, look at their impact. Look at the differences, and look at how far ahead Sidebottom should be of Josh Thomas, and it's indicative. You even look at Dane Beams, who's emerging as a star of the competition. Same draft, same age. He's not at that level, but he does hold value. He's someone that I would not only entertain, but seriously consider having a chat to GWS, trying to get one of their key forwards away.
I was just going to say, Rodney E should be on the phones right now, having a ring around and garnering some interest.
Oh.
If there's any for Sidey out there and what we could sort of get back coming the other way. Because as you pointed out, there's other kids that are up and coming that do the same, and in a couple of cases producing more at the moment. So he's not like he has to be kept on the list by any means. So while he's worth a bit, I'd be definitely ringing around and seeing what I could get coming back the other way.
Oh, there's got to be hard calls, and at the end of the day, we've got, the club has to be run like a business. We need to be peaking for premierships and continued success. And if he's someone that we can get something out of, same happened with Wellingham, same happened with Dawes. Didn't work out. First round draft picks we got for them. This is something that we should look at capitalising on. If we feel that, we can look at our list projection and say, right, we need a definite tall forward. Darcy Moore's coming in. We'd like another partner for him. Is Patton available? Is Jeremy Cameron available? How can we get them? It's due diligence, and we've got to work on the assumption that we're going to back our recruiters in. We've got good players in the VFL. Maybe we can afford to lose this guy or another guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
he's got to go. Don, sorry, have to go. But I think definitely ask a couple of questions for sure.
Let's see how he comes back after his little break, and let's see how other players perform in his stead. And following that track, he's one of the 2 guaranteeds out for this Queen's birthday game, which now shapes as a it's a more interesting game than I thought it should be.
Look, a lot of people are I think, putting a little bit too much into the Port game last week.
I agree.
Because Port's on top of the ladder. I really can't see Melbourne getting close to us. For some reason, I can't see it. I just don't think the Pies are going to let this one slip, and it might be a big win again. Another percentage booster.
Look,
there's a minority of people thinking that, but
No, look. I don't think it's a false sense of security now. With the thing with the D's is they're playing a brand of football that doesn't allow them to be scored heavily against. So when they're not conceding big margins, they're always in with a chance to win. Yep. And even though they never look like winning, like I watched the entire Port game, and what was the other close one they lost a few weeks back? I can't remember, but they were in the contest. Sure, they kicked a goal. They're only a goal down. They could pinch it, but they didn't look dominant. They didn't look controlling.
Yep.
If we rate ourselves as anything half decent, we've got to cut these guys in half.
Exactly right, exactly. We're in the 4. If we want to sort of stay there and stake our top 4 claims, then winning games against Melbourne, it's a non-negotiable. You just got to do it.
Absolutely.
Then we've got to reassess where we're going to finish.
We've got 2 guaranteed outs, Sidebottom and Maxwell.
Yep.
Guaranteed in, for me, definitely is Dane Swan.
And probably Grundy, the other one.
Well, probably Grundy. I mean, despite what we've talked about, as much as we'd like to see Witts go it alone for a week, or another week and see how he goes, he's probably the one that's going to come in. Luke Ball.
Adams gets another week, doesn't he?
I think he does. As I said, we've touched on it just before, but look, I don't think, if it's a late withdrawal and he had an injury and all that, what's the harm in giving him an extra week to recover anyway? I mean, a lot of people, if they see Bally in our best 22 still, which I think he's thereabouts, the extra week can't do him harm to rest up and. Not even played in the VFL. Just have the other week off, see how he goes.
The VFL doesn't have a game this week.
Oh, are we off again this week?
Yeah, VFL are off, I think.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, Karnezis gets injured. I can't even watch the VFL. I don't know what life is coming to over a weekend now. And here I was so happy for the young Greek to debut. I put the moz on him.
That's it.
But look, the thing is with Bally, look, he's getting to the end of his tenure. I don't see him continuing on past this year. And
probably not.
A lot of people disagree with that. But, again, it comes down to what I was saying before. The guy's on a half-decent wicket at the moment. You got to run it like a business. If there are players that are going past him, you got to make a tough call.
Yeah, I think there's just, with supporters especially, they don't want to make tough calls on guys. Like Bally's been fantastic since he came to our club, so and he's a genuinely good bloke outside of footy. So people, look, they don't want to they'll just wave on the board and mark up and no, you can't get rid of Bally. No, he's in our best 22. But when we look at it, in the cold light of day, he's getting on. Father Time's catching up to him. It's just about tapping him on the shoulder. So.
But he's got good things coming to him, like chief of the Players Association. Like that's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah.
He's got all that tied up. So, look, as I said, a lot of water going to the bridge. Your final tip for the weekend's game?
Final tip: Pies by 40.
Yeah, I reckon Pies by. I'm gonna 9 goals, 54. We have McCaffrey to shut down. Nathan Jones. For Solo to kick another 4. He loves it. You could see it. You could see how excited he was just to be back in the forward line.
That's another one of your calls, mate. You made it last week. You'd rather see him up forward. Bucks listen. There you go. Bang, done.
Just leave him there. Look at it. It's natural, And for once, we're screaming out for a crumbing forward. Elliott can do it. For Solo's doing it. White is the tallest crummer in the AFL. This is good. This is balanced. Nathan.
Yeah. No, all good. I think Pies should win well. If we don't, then we're going to have an interesting podcast next week, that's for sure.
I think we're going to explode. That's about all the time we have for this week. Thanks again. Get some nuts.
Yep, thanks for having us, mate.
Thank you.
See you all next week.
Yeah, thank you for joining us in the Nut House. Hopefully we get some volunteers next week and go Pies.
This is Dave the Man's round 12 rant for the Collingwood BigFooty podcast. So I'm going to do this week on our goal kicking, which has been terrible. We've either kicked more points than goals or be a couple of points less than home kick, but they were kicked like 9, 18, 19, 19, 17, 19, 18, or 15, 20, 15, 12. The last few we kicked like 19, 7, and I just have to. I don't need to just check what we kicked last week. It's hang on a second here, but it's been really the cloak kicking 5 goals has really helped me actually kick straight last week, which was fantastic. So we kicked 21-14 against the Cure, which is fantastic. Then we played West Coast we kicked 17-7, fantastic again. Then Adelaide we kicked 7-13. That is not good enough. And then after that we kicked 14-20, not good enough. We could have fresh Carlton if we kicked straight that round. After that we had 12-11 in round 6 against Essendon, not good enough. Then we kicked 13-15 against North Melbourne, not good. And then we have 16-14, which is okay against Richmond. Then in round 3 we kicked, let's find it here, 11-10, lost to Geelong, but no kick straight, is a kick 12-15, but that shows if we kick straight could have possibly won. And then in round 2 we played Sydney and we kicked 12-17. That was terrible. We should have flogged Sydney. Wasn't 20 points in the first round. We kicked 5-16. That is disgusting. But it's glad to see we're kicking a lot better. And if we kick better, we have more chances of winning. So that's my rant, and I hope you enjoy it. Bye.